While they watch, if you find yourself walking through life with a stirring in your heart, a feeling that you are meant for more, you work, that you are not just existing, but preparing for something greater. This is no accident. That inner signal is the first and most powerful sign that you are on the path to wealth. Not everyone hears it, and fewer still listen. But those who do, those who dare to believe they have a purpose beyond mere survival, have already taken the most vital step toward success. You may not yet have the fortune, while they watch you work, the freedom or the recognition. But if you are thinking bigger, dreaming larger, and feeling uncomfortable staying small, that's not confusion. That's confirmation. The wealthy do not stumble into their fate. They build it brick by brick, beginning with a definite purpose. If you've begun to define what success looks like for you, not in vague hopes, but in precise, meaningful terms, then you are laying the foundation of a powerful life. Wealth begins not in the hands, but in the mind. A clearly defined goal. You work, backed by belief and repeated desire, becomes a magnet. Every thought you think, every step you take, begins to align with that vision. You work. If you feel the burning desire that won't let you sleep, that pushes you to improve yourself, to learn more, work to stretch your comfort zone. That's not pressure, it's fuel. Now, think carefully. How they watch. Have you begun to leave in your dreams even before the evidence appears? Have you started visualizing success so vividly that it feels more real than your current situation? If so, you're displaying a trait that separates the exceptional from the ordinary. This kind of belief is not fantasy. It is creative faith. You work. It is the ability to see the invisible, to build the future in your imagination before the world confirms your direction. If you find yourself walking with confidence in a direction no one else understands, keep walking. That's a powerful sign. But belief is not enough. The truly wealthy act. They move. They refuse to wait for someone to hand them permission or for the conditions to be perfect. If you're finding yourself saying, "Why not me?" and taking bold steps despite fear, then you are on the right track. Every time you act in faith, you reinforce your path. You transform from a dreamer into a doer. There will be days when fear creeps in, when doubts roar louder than certainty. But if you act anyway, if you take one more step when everything in you says to stop, that's proof. That's wealth training you in real time. Still, the journey will not be easy. You will fall. You will make mistakes. You will face rejection, loss, confusion. But how you respond to failure is one of the clearest signs of your future. If you can look at defeat and say, "What is this here to teach me?" instead of, "Why did this happen to me?" you are transforming pain into power. Each failure becomes feedback. Each setback becomes a setup. The path to wealth is never a straight line. It's a spiral of lessons, and only those who are willing to learn, adjust, and grow continue climbing. Look at your relationships. You work. Have you started distancing yourself from those who drain your energy and surround yourself with those who elevate your vision? How they work. You've begun to protect your mental space, choosing wisdom over noise. If you've made these shifts, even in small ways, while they watch you work, you're preparing the soil for greatness. No one succeeds alone. The energy around you matters. Those who are on the path to wealth instinctively start seeking high-value conversations, meaningful influence, and environments that stretch their potential. You work. And finally, the most powerful sign of all, you've started thinking about how to serve. If your mind is no longer only on, "How do I get rich?" but has shifted to, "How can I add massive value?" you work. Then you've touched the true essence of wealth. Every enduring fortune is rooted in service. When you become obsessed with solving problems, helping others rise, and delivering excellence, money doesn't just chase you. It stays with you. So, if these signs feel familiar, take heart. You are not lost. You are rising. And though the journey ahead may be long and demanding, the direction is right. Wealth is not a destination. It is a process of becoming. And if you are seeing these signs, it means something powerful. You are already becoming the person your wealth requires you to be. While they watch you work, every great success story is long before the world notices. It begins in quiet moments. While they work, with internal shifts that are invisible to others but undeniable to the one experiencing them. If you are starting to notice changes in your thinking, subtle but powerful signs that your mind is operating differently, pay close attention. These are not coincidences. These are signals that you are aligning with the frequency of wealth. Most people believe wealth begins with luck or inheritance. While they watch, you work, but those who truly understand the game know it starts with identity. You don't attract wealth by chance. They watch. You attract it by becoming the kind of person who demands it from life, by the standard they set for themselves. You work. If you've started taking full responsibility for your life, no more blame, no more excuses. That's a significant sign. Responsibility is the gateway to power. When you stop pointing fingers and start asking, "What can I do?" you unlock the ability to control outcomes. This mindset shift may not be flashy, but it's revolutionary. It means you're no longer a passenger in life. You're now the driver. You work. And once you claim that seat, the road to wealth opens up before you. Perhaps you've started looking at time differently. You work, where once you wasted hours on distractions, now you guard your time with intention. You read instead of scroll. You plan instead of drift. You work if you are starting to treat time like currency, budgeting it, investing it wisely, and cutting out waste. You are learning the secret that the wealthy have known for a long time is more valuable than money. Money lost can be replaced. Time lost is gone forever. And those who master time inevitably master money. Another clear sign appears in your relationship with money itself. You work. Maybe you no longer see it as something scarce and hard to get. Maybe you've begun to understand that money is a tool, a servant, not a master. You work. If you've stopped fearing money and started studying it, respecting it, understanding how it flows, then you're already ahead of 90% of people. Wealthy individuals treat money as energy. They don't chase it. They position themselves to receive it. They solve problems, create value, and allow money to become the byproduct of service and contribution. If you've begun to think this way, wealth is already moving toward you. Watch your emotions. If you're becoming emotionally resilient, calm in pressure, composed in chaos, that's another indicator. The road to wealth is filled with challenges, and those who react impulsively often sabotage themselves. But those who respond with calm, with strategy, while they watch you work, with patience they rise. If you're learning to control your emotions, especially around fear and doubt, you work, you're developing the inner stability required to handle success. Because wealth without emotional maturity crumbles. But when you master both, you become unstoppable. Are you setting goals now? Not just dreams, but structured, specific goals with deadlines, action steps, and personal accountability. Then you are walking the exact path that all high achievers have walked. Dreams without structure fade, but goals transform the dream into a target. You work and targets get hit. If you're reviewing your goals daily, visualizing their completion, and aligning your daily habits to move you toward them, your future success is not just possible, it's predictable. Then comes the discipline. If you are waking up earlier, pushing yourself when motivation fades, you're doing the hard things consistently, then wealth is simply a matter of time. Self-discipline is a signpost on the road to abundance. It means you've realized that success doesn't come from what you feel like doing, but from doing what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. Every time you follow through, you cast a vote for the person you are becoming. And if those votes are stacking up, wealth is already on the way. Finally, while they work, look at how you speak. Have your words changed? Are you speaking with more confidence, more purpose, more belief? Are you catching yourself when you say things that contradict your vision? That shift in language reflects a shift in identity, and wealth responds to identity. When your language matches the reality you're creating, not the one you're escaping, you've crossed into a new mental dimension. And the universe, business, people, they all respond differently to you. So if you recognize these signs in yourself, be encouraged. You are not wandering. You are evolving. You work. And though the results may not yet be visible in your bank account, They are already being constructed in your mind and your habits. You work. The path to wealth isn't about what you have. It's about who you are becoming. Keep going. The future is not something you wait for. While they work, it's something you build, one disciplined decision at a time. While they watch you work, there comes a time in every achiever's life when the external world no longer determines their direction. You work. They stop waiting for signs from the outside and begin trusting the signs rising from within. If you've started noticing certain patterns in your behavior, thought process, and mindset, understand this: you are not lost. You are advancing. These signs are not random. They are evidence. You are stepping into the mindset of wealth long before the wealth shows up physically. And that's how it always begins. First within, then without. You might find yourself increasingly restless with ordinary routines. What once satisfied you now feels empty. You're no longer content with mediocrity. You work. That discomfort is not a weakness. It's an awakening. It's your spirit recognizing that comfort zones are prisons dressed up as safety. If you are now driven to grow, stretch, and strive, wealth has already begun whispering your name. Discontent with the average is a sacred signpost. While they work, it marks the point where your inner standard exceeds your external circumstances. And when that gap appears, you begin moving. You may have also noticed that your thoughts are becoming more intentional. Where once your mind wandered into fear, distraction, and doubt, now it gravitates toward vision, plans, and progress. This mental shift is profound. It's one of the most critical signs you're headed toward success. The wealthy do not think by accident. They design their thinking like engineers build bridges, with purpose, clarity, and strength. They watch you work. If you're monitoring your inner dialogue, challenging limiting beliefs, and replacing them with empowering truths, you work. You're already restructuring the architecture of your mind for abundance. Another powerful sign is your increasing intolerance for negativity. You no longer find joy in gossip, drama, or complaining. Conversations that go in circles now drain you. You work. If you're finding yourself walking away from unproductive people and seeking voices of wisdom, you're tuning your frequency to progress. You work. Success requires emotional hygiene. And if you're cleaning your circle, you're clearing the way for opportunity to enter. Because wealth flows through relationships, and you're beginning to discern which ones feed you and which ones bleed you. As you grow, your attention to detail sharpens. You start caring about your work, your presence, your word. You begin showing up earlier, staying later. You work, and doing more than expected, not to impress, but because you're now governed by internal excellence. If you find yourself operating with greater care and pride, even when no one is watching, you are aligning with one of the deepest traits of the wealthy. You work. Self-respect. They operate at a high level not because they have money, but because they respect the game they're playing. You don't rise to wealth by chance. You rise to it through standards. And your standards are rising. You may also find yourself embracing solitude more often. You work. While others crave constant stimulation, you're learning the value of being alone with your thoughts. Silence has become your mentor. Reflection has become your tool. You no longer fear being alone because you're not lonely. You're intentional. The path to wealth requires seasons of separation. Growth often demands isolation before recognition. If you're in that season now, don't resent it. Honor it. While they watch you work, many great fortunes were built during quiet seasons when no one was watching, but everything was changing. Perhaps you're also starting to see money differently. Not as an object to be hoarded or chased, but as a tool to be mastered. If you're learning about income, investment, business, assets, and leverage, then you're stepping into the practical realm of wealth. You work. Wealth doesn't come to those who avoid money. It comes to those who understand it. If you're reading, learning, seeking mentorship, you work, and becoming financially literate, you are developing the skill set that wealth requires. Then there's the inner fire, the one no one sees. You work. If you're staying up late to build, waking up early to work on your craft, sacrificing temporary pleasures for long-term gains. You work, then you're burning with purpose. That fire is sacred. Most people never experience it. They trade it for comfort and routine. You work, but you've decided that legacy matters more than laziness, that discipline matters more than dopamine. You work, and that choice separates the average from the exceptional. So if you're seeing these signs, don't look for applause. Don't wait for permission. And don't fear the silence. You are transforming, you are becoming. And wealth, real wealth, the kind that transforms generations, is not built in public. It's built in moments just like this. Quiet, focused, purposeful. Keep watching the signs. They're not leading you astray. You work, they're confirming what your soul already knows. You're not hoping for success anymore. You're preparing for it. And preparation, when done consistently, you work, becomes prophecy. Keep going. The signs are real, and they are leading you to everything you were born to claim. They watch you work. There's a quiet transformation that occurs before wealth becomes visible. Most never see it while they watch you work, because they're too busy looking for results instead of recognizing the roots. While they work, but those truly succeed begin to experience subtle internal changes long before their bank accounts reflect it. You work. If you've started to notice these signs, know this: you are being molded into the person who can not only create wealth, but sustain it. You work, and that is far more valuable than a temporary win. One of the most powerful signs is that your excuses no longer satisfy you. While they watch you work, you once justified procrastination or avoided responsibility, now you catch yourself. While you can feel when your old patterns try to return, and you no longer accept them, that shift is not small. It is profound. You work. It's a sign that your inner operating system is evolving. You no longer settle for being a victim of circumstances. You work. You've started to recognize that you are the cause, not the effect. You work. The moment you claim full ownership over your life is the moment wealth starts to flow in your direction, even if slowly. Another sign appears in the form of hunger. Not physical hunger, but spiritual hunger. You crave growth. You seek knowledge. You want answers. You are no longer satisfied with surface-level entertainment or temporary pleasures. If you found yourself reading more, listening to mentors, watching less TV, spending time in thought rather than just scrolling through distractions, you're already behaving like someone wealth is being drawn to. You work because wealth doesn't just chase ambition, it follows wisdom. And your thirst for understanding is a signal that you are preparing to steward success, not just chase it. You may have noticed that you're starting to delay gratification. This, too, is a rare sign. While they watch you work, where most people are chasing quick wins and instant rewards, you are starting to invest in the long game. You are learning to say, not now, in order to say yes to something greater later. If you're choosing to save instead of spend, to build instead of buy, to work instead of party, this is not deprivation, it is preparation. The wealthy think in decades, not days. And if your choices are becoming future-focused, your wealth is already being shaped one decision at a time. Also, pay attention to how you handle discomfort. You work. If you're leaning into challenges instead of avoiding them, you're building resilience. Every wealthy person has walked through seasons of pressure, rejection, you work, and uncertainty. What sets them apart is they didn't run from the fire. They walked through it and came out foraged. You work. If you're showing signs of emotional maturity, if you can remain calm when things go wrong, if you bounce back quicker than you used to, then you're building a foundation strong enough to support success. Because true wealth isn't just about income. It's about inner strength. And then there's your relationship with work. If you've started treating every task, no matter how small, with excellence, you are already wealth ready. Wealth is not attracted to half effort. It is drawn to those who make excellence a habit. If you've stopped cutting corners, if you double check your work, if you give more than what's expected, not to impress others, but because you respect your craft, you are already separating yourself from the crowd. Wealth always rewards value, and value comes from consistent, high-quality effort. If you've started to fall in love with the process, not just the result, then success is inevitable. You may also feel something else: conviction. a deep, immovable sense that you were meant for something bigger. Even if no one else sees it, you feel it, and that feeling gives you energy, courage, and clarity. This is a divine signal. Conviction is not arrogance. It's certainty birthed from vision. You work. And if your vision is becoming more clear, if you see your goals in your mind so vividly that they feel real, you are shaping your future in advance. You work. The wealthy don't guess. They decide. They visualize. They move with intention. If you've begun doing this, you are not chasing success. You are creating it. You work. And finally, consider how you respond to other success. If you're no longer jealous or bitter, but instead inspired and motivated, you're operating from abundance. While they watch you work, that mental shift means you understand that someone else's win does not threaten your potential. It confirms what's possible. If you celebrate others sincerely, if you study them instead of resent them, then you are walking the same road they did. And your turn is coming. These signs may seem small. They may be invisible to the outside world, but they are the foundation of everything you're about to build. Keep honoring them. Keep leaning in. You are on the path. And wealth, though it may not arrive overnight, is already being magnetized to the person you are becoming. Stay patient. Stay relentless. The transformation is real, and it's working. If you've been noticing a growing awareness within yourself, an instinctive sense that your life is preparing for something bigger, then understand this says the process of wealth has already begun. The world may not see it. The bank balance may not yet show it. But the signs are there, quietly shaping your thoughts, your habits, and your actions. Real wealth is not a sudden event. It is a pattern, a rhythm, a shift in identity. And once that shift begins, while they watch, there is no turning back, only moving forward with purpose. You may have found that your tolerance for small thinking is disappearing. You work. Conversations about limitations, gossip, scarcity, and negativity don't appeal to you anymore. It's not that you think you're better than others. You work. It's that your mind is evolving. When you begin rejecting the thoughts that once kept you stuck, it's a major sign that wealth is approaching. Because wealth doesn't grow in a mind filled with fear, envy, or victimhood. It grows in a mind that sees possibility even in difficulty. If your thoughts are becoming more elevated, more focused on progress, growth, and solutions, you are already walking the path most people never dare to begin. You work. There's also a change in how you view problems. Where others see inconvenience, you start to see opportunity. If you find yourself asking, how can I solve this? How can I serve others through this? How can I use this? You're not just thinking like an employee anymore. You work. You're beginning to think like a creator, a problem solver, a business mind. Wealth is built by solving problems at scale. If you've started paying attention to inefficiencies, gaps, and frustrations in the world around you, not to complain, but to innovate, you are on the path of those who leave a mark. That mindset alone is one of the most accurate predictors of financial success. You work. Another critical sign is that you no longer crave instant results. You're playing the long game. You understand now that true success takes time, and you're willing to be patient, but not passive. That's a powerful combination. Calm and consistent action. If you've stopped jumping from idea to idea, and instead are pouring steady effort into one focused vision, you are building something real. The wealthy are not just dreamers. They are finishers. They do the work, especially when no one's watching. If you're showing up daily, refining your skills, investing in your knowledge, while they watch you work and embracing the repetition that greatness requires, then your future is already being written in discipline. You work, and then there's your attention to your environment. If you're becoming more intentional about what you allow into your space, what you watch, you work, what you listen to, who you spend time with, you're aligning your energy. You've realized that everything you consume becomes part of you while they watch you work. And so you've begun to feed your mind with empowering content. Listen to voices that challenge you to grow. They watch and eliminate distractions that offer comfort but cost you momentum. This kind of awareness is rare, and it's a direct signal that wealth consciousness is active in your life. You might also feel something deeper happening. A shift in what drives you. Maybe it's no longer just about money, status, or proving yourself. Now it's about purpose. You want to make a difference. You work. You want to leave something behind. You've started to think in terms of legacy, not just luxury. You work. This is one of the final signs that you're truly aligned with real wealth, because wealth that lasts is never just for self. It's for contribution. You work. If your vision is expanding beyond personal gain into meaningful impact, then abundance isn't just coming. It's being summoned by who you're becoming. And don't ignore the small behaviors that are changing. You follow through on your promises. You show up when it's hard. You keep going when motivation fades. These are not ordinary traits. These are the silent indicators that your future self is already being formed through consistency. You work. Every time you keep a commitment to yourself, every time you resist the easy route, every time you push through discomfort, you cast another vote for the person who is wealthy in mind, action, and eventually results. So yes, the world may not yet see the full picture. The applause may be silent, and the rewards may still be distant. But these signs, these inner shifts, are evidence. They are the blueprint. Keep recognizing them. Keep building upon them. Because you're not hoping for wealth anymore. You're preparing for it, earning it, becoming worthy of it. And when the time comes, the world won't ask how you did it. They'll wonder how they didn't see it sooner. When you're on the path to wealth, you won't always feel triumphant. In fact, some days feel lonelier, harder, or more uncertain than ever before. But if you're noticing subtle changes in your behavior, your thinking, and your attitude, understand this clearly: you are no longer where you used to be. While they watch you work, the destination may not be in sight, but the direction has shifted. These signs, often quiet and overlooked, are powerful indicators that your internal compass is now pointing toward abundance. Perhaps you've started to become obsessed with growth, not in a desperate or anxious way, but with calm intensity. You're not just learning randomly. While they watch you work, you're now studying deliberately. You're reading books that stretch your thinking, listening to podcasts that challenge your perspective, and watching content that elevates your standards. This is not entertainment anymore. It's investment. The desire to grow is no longer just a preference. It has become a need. And when your hunger for expansion outweighs your comfort with stagnation, that is not just a phase. It is a transformation. You may also find that your conversations are changing. The things you used to talk about no longer excite you. Gossip feels hollow. Complaints feel like poison. You crave depth now. Discussions about ideas, vision, impact, legacy. If you find yourself gravitating toward people who make you think, who challenge your assumptions, who ask better questions, that is no accident. You are aligning with higher vibrations, and wealth loves that frequency. It cannot survive in shallow talk or small-minded environments. If your mind is reaching for more, so too will your life. Another important shift happens in how you deal with your past. Where you once saw pain, you now see purpose. Where there was shame, you begin to recognize strength. If you're starting to look at your past not as a chain that holds you back, but as a furnace that forged you, you work. You're no longer a prisoner. You're now the alchemist of your own story. This mindset separates the wealthy from the wounded. You work because every person who builds something great has learned to repurpose their past into power. If you've started to do this, your wealth isn't just financial, it's personal. And then comes the discipline. Not the loud, aggressive type, but the quiet, while relentless consistency that shows up every day. Maybe you've started tracking your habits. You wake up earlier, you manage your time better, you work. You limit distractions. You no longer need motivation to do what must be done. You've built structure. This is one of the clearest signs that you're building lasting success. The undisciplined chase wealth, the disciplined become it. While they watch, if you're becoming more predictable in your habits, more intentional with your effort, and more committed to your goals, regardless of how you feel, you are not just on the path. You are walking it with strength. Your energy is changing too. People may have started treating you differently. Some are inspired. Others may pull back. Don't be alarmed. As your energy shifts, so will your circle. You work. Not everyone will come with you, and not everyone should. If you're beginning to protect your peace, set boundaries, you work, and prioritize your mental clarity. You're doing what wealthy minds always dog. They guard their energy like a sacred asset. Because without focus, nothing great can be built. And if you're prioritizing clarity over chaos, you are preparing your life to receive more. You work. Maybe you're also thinking more about the value you can bring than the rewards you want to receive. This is a breakthrough moment. When you become obsessed with solving problems, delivering results, and improving other people's lives, you shift from a consumer mindset to a creator mindset. That change is magnetic. The world rewards those who offer value. If your thoughts are consumed by how to help, how to improve, how to serve, you are already wealthy in the most important way mindset. And wealth always follows that mindset like a shadow follows the light. Another unmistakable sign is emotional control. You don't react to everything. You don't chase every opinion or defend yourself against every criticism. You're developing a kind of emotional armor, not to be cold, but to remain focused. Success requires inner stillness. If you can stay calm in storms, balanced in success, and steady in failure, you are being shaped into someone who can handle the weight of wealth without being crushed by it. So if you recognize these signs, do not ignore them. Do not dismiss them as minor. These are not random behaviors. They are evidence. While they watch you work, they are the blueprint of transformation. Most people wait for wealth to show up before they change. But those who truly succeed are the ones who change before the wealth comes. And when it finally arrives, it does not feel surprising. It feels earned. Because the person you've become is the reason it came at all. Keep becoming that person. You're already on your way. At some point along your journey, you begin to realize that success is not just about what you do, but about who you are becoming. The outer results, the money, you work, the recognition, the lifestyle, are simply reflections of an internal transformation that began long before anyone noticed. If you're beginning to witness certain shifts within yourself, new levels of focus, discipline, clarity, and ambition, then understand this clearly. These are not coincidences. These are confirmations that you're moving into alignment with wealth, not just as a possibility, but as a reality being formed with each passing day. You may have noticed that your sense of urgency is increasing. The days of waiting, hesitating, and procrastinating are fading away. Now, when an idea hits, you feel compelled to act. While they watch you work, you're no longer putting things off until tomorrow, because you finally understood something essential on. You work. Time is the most valuable currency you possess. If you find yourself driven by an invisible clock while they watch you work, if you're suddenly unwilling to waste hours on things that don't contribute to your vision, you've stepped into a level of consciousness that most people never reach. Wealth builders don't waste time. They maximize it. You work. They understand that every day matters, and they behave accordingly. Another sign you're on the wealth path is the way you've started organizing your life, your environment, your calendar, your thoughts. Everything is becoming more structured. You've realized that chaos breeds confusion. You work, and that order creates momentum. If you've begun cleaning your workspace, planning your week in advance, tracking your goals, or simplifying your lifestyle, it's not just about productivity. It's a deeper sign. It means your mind is demanding order to make space for expansion. You work. Wealthy people are not accidental with their lives. They are architects of their reality, and your shift toward structure is a signal that your internal leader has awakened. You may also find that your tolerance for low standards is evaporating. While they watch, you no longer entertain mediocrity in your work, your habits, or your relationships. You've become less interested in pleasing others and more interested in keeping promises to yourself. You've started holding yourself to a higher bar, not because someone told you to, but because something within you refuses to settle. That internal standard is not ego. It's alignment. You work. Wealth flows to those who operate in excellence. If you've started walking away from anything that insults your potential, you work. It means you're growing into the person that wealth is drawn to by default. And here's something else. See, you've become deeply aware of your emotions. You're no longer controlled by fear, frustration, or impatience the way you used to be. Instead, you pause. You think. You redirect. They watch you work. Emotional mastery is one of the most underrated yet essential qualities of those who succeed. You work. If you're developing the ability to feel without being driven by emotion, to use your feelings as data, not commands, you're entering into the mental state of the wealthy. Because success is not determined by what happens to you, but by how you respond to what happens. And response is a choice. If you've taken back that power, you're already miles ahead. There's also a noticeable change in your daily routines. Maybe now you wake up earlier. You meditate, journal, exercise, plan. You no longer leave your days to chance. You prime your mind before the world has a chance to influence it. These habits, while simple, are profound. Because wealth is not created in random bursts of energy. It's built in quiet repetitions. The way you start your day is often the way your future starts. You work. If you're beginning your mornings with intention and discipline, it's a clear indication that your internal compass is locked on growth. You might have also noticed a deeper level of gratitude, not just for the big things, but for the small steps, the lessons, even the setbacks. Gratitude is a sign of emotional maturity. It's the ability to see the value in every moment, and that mindset turns everything, even failure, into fuel. If you've started saying, "Thank you," for things that used to frustrate you, it means your perspective has expanded. And expanded minds are the soil where wealth takes root, because only those who can appreciate where they are can properly handle where they're going. Finally, you work, perhaps the most powerful sign of all. You've stopped waiting for the world to give you permission. You've realized that nobody is coming to save you. You work. No one is going to hand your dream. And so, you've chosen to become your own source of momentum. That decision changes everything. When you take full ownership of your journey, when you stop waiting and start building, you become unstoppable. The wealthy are not just rich in resources. You work. They are rich in resolve. And if you've tapped into that unwavering determination, if you've decided that you won't quit, you won't retreat, and you won't settle, then your success is no longer a matter of if, but when. Keep going. These signs are not random. They are proof. While they work, you're becoming exactly who you were meant to be.